I actually think about this a little bit differently, I guess, which is like on the one hand, the people who are going to be okay in the AI revolution are the ones who understand how to use the tool, right? It won't replace them. It'll amplify them. And that's going to be powerful. It's like, I'm really good with the tools that I have available to me. But if you give me more powerful tools, I'm going to become more capable, competent, but only assuming I learn how to use the new tool as well, right? If I'm really great with a pen, doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to be really great with a paintbrush if I don't take the time to learn that new tool. But once I do, then I can do remarkable things that I couldn't have done with the pen on its own, right? So it depends on the individual and their willingness to learn how to use the tool. The other side of that, though, is you mentioned like the people who create the AI. And one of the interesting things that's, I think, happened over the last year or 2 years since ChatGPT really came on the scene, a lot of people had this theory, and it made a lot of sense, which is that the people who are going to get wealthiest in this transition with AI are the people who are building the AIs, the AI builders. And it was similar to the idea of the gold rush. The people go out there looking for gold, but it was the people who were selling the shovels. It was the landowners that really like made out. They had all the money, right? So it's like the people who make the platform or the tools that everybody then uses to go and change the world. They're the ones that unequivocally make the most money. And over the last 12, 18 months, people were building a lot of what are called like wrappers. Pretty much they're just using ChatGPT to create an AI tool that does a specific thing, but it's really just wrapped around the same core technology of ChatGPT. It's just learning how to use it in a slightly different way. And so that's like, oh, we're going to take the visual processing of this and we're going to create a tool that allows you to take a picture of a room and then put furniture into it, right? Stage it virtually. That's the application, but the underlying technology was ChatGPT. And so everybody looks at it and goes, okay, well, ChatGPT is the core function here that's necessary. All these other wrappers anybody could make that tool, right? Anybody could make that virtual staging AI, and therefore it's a flimsy business model. It's never going to be worth $1 trillion, whereas ChatGPT will be. But then some really interesting things have started to happen over the last 6 months, especially with DeepSeek from China. What a lot of people started to realize is like, these language models are becoming commoditized now. There's Claude, there's ChatGPT, there's DeepSeek, there's all these different models now. And people are just using them interchangeably with no real brand loyalty or commitment. They're just using it based off of the need that they have in that moment, the user interface that they like the most. But there's a bunch of these language models that are effectively the same. At the end of the day, they're like within like a margin of error, like fairly similar. And there's some that are more powerful. They'll continue to get more powerful, but people are starting to realize like actually there's no brand loyalty to ChatGPT or to DeepSeek or to Claude. There's just, hey, what's the utility of the tool? And there's starting to become this thing now where the people who created the wrappers, they created the brand and they created this loyalty. Not necessarily like a loyalty from the consumer in that like, oh, I love that tool, but it's just, oh, that's the tool that I'm using. It's integrated into my system now, and it's more work to go and change the system to a new system. And so they don't. And so it's been like this weird flip where the AI builders are actually becoming commoditized, and the AI wrappers who are building like the loyalty or the sticky customer user base are actually doing quite well. And that's not to say that ChatGPT isn't doing incredibly well, but it's created a completely different landscape. And so I don't know how it's all going to play out. It's almost like internet providers, right? Yeah. You think about like that's really what the large language models are going to be like in the future. It's going to be like a utility. It's going to just be a thing that everybody has access to, and you don't really think about it all that much. It's like Xfinity or Verizon or whatever. Like doesn't really matter to you. You need to pay it, and you pay like $20 a month for it and whatever. But then all the things that you can do because you have internet, all the products that are built off the back of it, that's where the opportunity is for 99% of people. And so this is a long, I guess, story or explanation, but I think that's where people should focus, is on the wrapper side, is on building the utilities on top of the foundation and not worrying about becoming the AI builder. Just asking yourself, how can I continue to use these tools that other people are making and how to use them more effectively? Because those people potentially are going to change the world, but there's only going to be a handful of them that do it. But over here, millions, billions of people using AI tools and technologies can transform their life. And so that's where I encourage people to focus.
So then how do you, because we rewind a little bit, once again, you talked about the whole idea of loyalty between brands. So if someone's creating something on top of the back end of the foundation, then would you say personal branding has become also a huge?
Yeah, in an age of AI and instant commoditization of things, the only differentiator is brand. And I think that's personal brand, business brand is never it's at an all-time high, and I think it's only going to get more and more valuable over time. Because it's one of those things that brand gives you loyalty, it gives you visibility, it gives you this inherent trust that what you're getting from that person is this quality. And so all things being equal, if you have your virtual AI staging tool and you have 1 million followers and people know you because you put out content around that topic and they know, like, and trust you, versus that other person over there who also has a virtual staging tool, but nobody knows who it is, there's nothing behind it, which one is more likely to grow? It's the same technology, even if your technology is better. And this has always been the case with brand, but it's just getting more and more important because anybody can recreate any tool right now on their laptop. That's the crazy thing, is like we're all getting nickeled and dimed to death from like software service, right? Like you have your Adobe, you have your Canva, you have like you have all these things that you're using. And I think we're entering into an age of personal software where people are going to have the tools. It's going to be easy enough just to sit down and talk to your AI companion and say, build me a replacement for Monarch. And it will go, do. Here's the code. Would you like to upload it? Yes. Boom. Put it on my phone. Awesome. Now I have my own personal Monarch. It has all the same functionality, all the same capacities, right? But it's mine, and I don't have to pay for it for somebody else now, right? So there's so many different ways of using this, and I've already been playing with these tools in that way of like, what are the softwares that we rely on the most heavily inside of our businesses, and how can we replace those with our own AI Jimmy rigged version of it? And that's not as good as the other version, but you for the most part, you buy these softwares and you don't need like 72% of the functionality. You're really buying it for like 3 things. You're like, I use Canva for like 3 things, and I'm like, I could probably build this pretty quickly with an AI at this point. And the answer is like, you absolutely can. And that's what I would encourage, like thinking about kids who are going into college, thinking about their professional futures and everything. I think the landscape is going to be so different in 10 years that I wouldn't recommend people go into law school right now. I wouldn't recommend people go and get like their accounting degrees or anything like that. The only thing that seems to make sense to me is like to learn how to think creatively, how to deploy at scale, how to communicate and influence people, and then how to communicate with machines. Like everything else is a waste. Because like I use ChatGPT, I use AI solutions right now to like replace a number of the things that I used to rely on lawyers or CPAs for. And like those jobs are becoming obsolete. They're just going to be gone. They're like, the whole industry has to fundamentally change. So it's interesting. Yeah. Brave new world. Exciting times to be alive.